Simmons-Pinckney Middle School is the only standalone middle school on Charleston's peninsula, and they're doing great things. I sit down one-on-one with the principal of the school, Nate Nelson, for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio. Nate Nelson.
Hey,
It's so good to meet you.
it's good to be seen. Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here and wanting to share the story with you. So I appreciate it.
Obviously, you're an executive principal here at Simmons-Pinckney Middle School, that is in downtown
Right.
Charleston.
Started off as an interim. I'm the only principal that Simmons-Pinckney has known. We share the campus with Burke High, and Ms. Cheryl Swinton is
Yes.
the principal of Burke High, and I'm the principal of the middle school. It's a wonderful family.
Wonderful family. What is that story right now that you can tell about this school in 2019?
We have definitely changed. I think that we talked about fact checking. And so we don't always get the best rep for the accomplishments that our students and our teachers are making because people don't take the time to fact check. Being that we are in a very highly political area down here with all of the changes going on, Simmons-Pinckney Middle School has went from a school that was rated unsatisfactory by the state to this year being rated as average in 3 years. And so we've made some great strides working with our curriculum and our discipline, our culture, working with our community and our constituent boards on what it is that we want to see happening down here in Charleston County as a middle school. So if I had to sum it up, is that we're still striving to give kids a world-class education regardless of their backgrounds and where they came. So
What is that curriculum when you define Simmons-Pinckney?
So we started off as, and we still are, a personalized learning school, which each student, we know that students come to us at varying levels. And so we try to accelerate students' growth, hence the reason for our average rating from the state this year. Making sure that we take kids, if your kid came to us on the 6th grade level and they're in 6th grade, that we try to grow them to 7th grade quickly. But also if kids came to us in the 3rd grade level and they're reaching 6th grade, we tell our path that will accelerate those students' academics and accelerate their growth. And so we are a personalized learning school. This year we just started implementing project-based learning in our 6th grade, where students take real-world projects and they examine them, they work together. It's almost like the Google model where they're working as a team and collaborating. And so they're working on a school-wide project dealing with segregation in today's time. With everything that's going on, from taking on racial issues, taking on justice for, LG, the gay rights activists, just different social issues that they wanted to take on. And so they're working on a project about what does segregation still look like in today's time. Does it still exist, and why? And where did it come from? So they're working with project-based learning. And so those are the two curriculums or models, I should say, that we are focused on at Simmons-Pinckney.
And you talked earlier about the constituent school board. What is your relationship with them right now?
We have a very good, and I think that I've always had a very good relationship with the constituent school board. I know that he's no longer a part of the school board, but I remember Mr. Tony Lewis.
Yes, we love Tony.
His heart is gold. And so he was a part of the constituent board members, but he was also a part of making sure that Simmons-Pinckney was, being represented well. But the entire board, Downing Childs and Diana Yarber and several others are there, Mr. Crosby.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that at the heart of everything, that everyone wants the best for their child and for all kids. And so that constituent board has been very supportive in that aspect about supporting Simmons-Pinckney. So I think we have a good relationship.
And I went back on your website. You also said this quote: "We are proud of the partnership with our community members and look forward to continue working relationships we have established."
Right.
Talk to me about those community members and how have you established those working relationships?
All right. Well, this goes back to the village concept, right? I believe that it takes a village to raise the whole child. And so one of the things we started this school was in the middle of the Mother Emanuel tragedy. And it was a time when the community members that came to say that we wanted a middle school on the peninsula, that's a public middle school, what does that look like? For me, I still envision a school where students from all races and economic background is coming into this building, and that teachers are providing them the best education that we could afford them. But I believe that working with our community partners, like our church faith-based initiatives, we have a lot of kids whose grandmothers are still a part of, Mother Emanuel and Mount Zion AME and Nichols Chapel, and so we wanted to reach out to our not just African American churches, but also Center Point and different churches that are multicultural. We wanted to reach out to those agencies, and also we have students who are in public housing, working with those individuals to make sure that we are communicating, but working with the Citadel. The Citadel has been a strong partner with us, and our constituent board members and HOA. Many times our students, they're students, so things may happen in the neighborhood that may or may not be their fault, but working with the neighbors in here to figure out how can we all coexist here on the peninsula. So we have a very strong connection with our partners, and as well as making sure that some of our kids who don't have the necessities that they need, finding them the agency that's going to help them. We partner with MUSC's mental health program. As a matter of fact, we're one of the only schools in Charleston County that we have a full medical clinic right here on our campus. And so we have an MUSC pediatrician that's housed here. And she comes here probably 2 or 3 times a week. So we do very well with partnerships. And before you got here, this room was being used by Mother Emanuel's empowerment group that sits and work with kids. And so I'm hoping that we can continue to partner. And I have not yet seen the vision of mentoring for kids, particularly our boys. And so that's the next venture for us, is to partner with a mentoring group.
What is the state of mentoring in your mind when you think of African American men and men in whole?
So, for me, mentoring, because I've been mentored and I'm still mentored, it is really other men. You are able to look up to other men who might have went the wrong way. You can say, look, this is what I've done so that you don't have to go through it. Also men who are able to look at an African American young man and not see someone that looks like them being incarcerated, but someone who's really bringing value to this community. And men, men, sometimes we don't always get the best rap because we have to be all things to all people. But I think that it is important for young men to see that men struggle, but it's not where you start, is where you end up, it's where you finish. And so we've been fortunate at some aspect to have men coming in and mentoring young men, coming in on Wednesdays and checking up on them to see, how is school going. And I know that everybody has their own schedules outside of school, but just taking a little time to let kids know, hey, I care about you. We have basketball coaches who would come by and say, look, I'm just keeping my head to make sure that he's okay. And to me, that's, that accountability factor. So just somebody to really just be accountable to. I'm gathering that you, as who you are, you still have a man that you are accountable to.
Yes.
And so, yes. So we all just need somebody to help us. Sometimes we lose our way, just to say, hey, get back on track. This is how you do that. So somebody just to help you stay accountable.
And you also said on the website this too. At Simmons-Pinckney Middle School, our mission is to be a cohesive team that inspires and engages all students in relevant, authentic, project-based learning experiences to be college and career ready while providing a culture that empowers students to take ownership of their learning.
Yes.
How do you get the kids ready for college in 2019 here?
Well, we are doing, I'll tell you, we spend more time trying to get them ready for college than actually teaching sometimes, because we all know that a lot of kids don't know how to do school. And there was a point in my life that I didn't know how to do school. And so teaching students, number one, this is how school looks and how school functions. We have mastery trackers where each child, first of all, we have binders. Each student have a binder here that has all of their curriculum and classes in it. And then we have mastery trackers. And so students are looking at their own mastery of standards that they need to master prior to going to the next grade, as well as doing college and career activities. Our kids go off to College of Charleston, they go visit the Citadel, they go visit Bowens, different places to see what their career looks like. Not just to see say I want to be a veterinarian, but let's go spend a day in the life of a veterinarian. And what are those things that help me really prepare myself to become a veterinarian? I think it's important also that when you have students who get off the bus with a certain group of kids and that's all they see and all they know, we need to expose students to other opportunities. And so our school works on making sure that students have the opportunity to be engaged in their own learning, as well as making sure that our community partners are coming in and that our community partners understand that we're here to prepare the next generation, because you're going to need that student sitting in that classroom, or you're going to be finding people from out of state to come in and take jobs. We can prepare our kids for not just, the bottom of the pole, but really taking ownership of, I want to be an entrepreneur. I remember last year, I had so many kids that wanted to be an entrepreneur. They were out there selling roses. And for 2 years, I would get upset because I would get back to school on Monday and realize that my kids were arrested over the weekend for roses. And so what we did is we started an entrepreneur club here after school last year for kids to really go about the right way of how to start a business. We partner with the bank. We partner with some community members. We taught them customer service skills. What's in your hands that you can make money off, because sometimes it's not always going to college. You might need to become an entrepreneur. So giving them the tools to be successful in the real world, in the practical world, is what we strive to do. And for those kids who are ready to be wanting to go to college, we have a program called AVID. And AVID is for our first generation college goers. And so those kids go and they do college applications, they go and they do college visits, they go and they also volunteer and give back to the community, but making sure that they have a well-rounded education is what we're trying to do here.
You talk about education, you talk about the kids. I know next door they're having a big problem with enrollment at Burke High School.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep your enrollment afloat and basically double that?
We've been blessed to double our enrollment, but we still have a whole lot more. I think next year we're not going to have enough room here, which is a good problem to have, but we face the same struggles as Burke faced. Okay. And Burke is very near, even though I graduated from North Charleston High School. It was a big rival back in the days. But Burke has taken, it's been unfortunate for Burke because the perception that is out there is not the perception that happens on this campus at Simmons-Pinckney and North Burke. And I think one of the things that we, both schools are trying to do is make sure that you come walk our halls and don't take a snapshot from something from Facebook or social media. That seems to be one of the hurtful things, is when people take snapshots from social media or from somebody else who left disgruntled from a school. But we have been very intentional, and we're striving to be more intentional about having people come in and see our school. When I first started this school, I tried to get everybody to come into the community. One of the things I had to learn very quickly is that I got to take care of the kids who are here. And I have to build the program that I want with the students who are here. And if you want to come and be a part of what's going, the great things that are going on, we welcome you. So we welcome parents and community members to come in and volunteer. We have our same roles as any middle school in America. Okay. But because we're here in a political area, those things are sometimes heightened a little bit more than others. And so, our enrollment is continuing to increase because of our feeder schools. So we work a lot with the feeder schools. Sometimes we lose them to charter schools. And then they come back from us, from charter schools, and they realize that they could really get the nurturing and the growth they need here at Simmons-Pinckney. So we're just trying to grow kids. And I think that our parents right now are starting to spread the word for the parents who are saying, no, my child is at Simmons-Pinckney, and I know that's a good school. We're just trying to make sure that our work speaks for itself. This is the first and only interview I've done.
Well, thank you.
Ever for Simmons-Pinckney, besides one little article that I was part of. But we want parents to tell the story, and then we are now starting to tell our own story instead of leaving it up to social media or the media to dictate to us what our stories are. We're telling our own stories, and the story is that we have some challenges as any school in America, but we're still a great school, and we're still striving every day to be an excellent school.
I know when I was walking in, I noticed you were really running around, making certain that every kid got to where they needed to be.
Yes.
And even talking with the teachers and encouraging them. Where is your energy? Where does your energy come from?
Right now, I'm losing energy, so I sit down at 3:30 after everybody is gone and try to and gather myself. But my energy really comes from my students. I could have the most frustrating morning on the interstate. I could have not slept the night before. But when you come through these doors and you see students come off that bus into this school, you have to know that it ain't about you. You got to get yourself. Some mornings I have to mentally get myself together while they're walking from the bus stop, from the bus dismissal to our cafeteria doors, because it's about the students. So my energy comes from them. My energy comes from seeing teachers get excited about teaching and have a passion about teaching. And as long as we keep that as a school, that, I could have gone to several other schools where the energy, everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing. But that's just not my reality. And I'm happy because, we're dealing with middle school kids that some days they love you and some days you love them. And some days you don't want to be bothered with either with each other, but your family. And that's what matters. So I think sometimes I spend more time here at this school than I do with my own family sometimes, because I'm really passionate about my educating students and letting them know that you don't have to be what the world says you are. You could live, and I'm not a huge Tiger Woods fan, but if you look at Tiger Woods in his last Masters, many people had thrown him away and said that he was not going to ever reach that status, and he proved them wrong. And so you have the right to prove people wrong, and that's what I tell my students every day. You don't have to live according to what media and society says you are. You can be who you really want to be.
What is something else that people should know about Simmons-Pinckney that they don't know?
I think that they ought to know that we do have caring teachers. We do have caring staff. We do have wonderful students. And despite we have students at very different levels. We have middle income family and all of the challenges that middle income families have. We have students who are living in public assistance, and I believe that all parents want to see their child, regardless if they walk through the doors or not. You still want the best for your child. You don't want your child sitting in a disruptive classroom. You want them to learn, but you also don't want them sitting in a classroom with teachers who aren't pushing them. So I believe everybody wants the best for their child, and I want them to know here at Simmons-Pinckney, we want the best for all students. We can't pick where you come from. We want to welcome whoever comes through these doors, that we want to love on them, nurture them, not just academically, but socially as well, and get them prepared for life.
And now, as I was walking into school earlier today, some of the kids reminded me of when I was going to Quintin Middle School many years ago, back in 95, 96.
Yeah, you dated yourself. Courtney, I remember Courtney.
Yeah, great
Courtney
school.
Rivers.
Right.
I went to James Simmons.
Okay, yeah. Which one of these students here reminds you of you as a middle school student?
It's a hard question, because I could see me and many of my students. Coming from a mother who worked 2 jobs sometimes and not able to always come to a basketball game or to a music performance, coming home some days and not knowing that the lights were going to be turned on. I have students that come from that area. I have students who come from supportive families, who mothers will come in and fuss you and the teacher out, and because they know that they want the best for their child. So I could see, and I put my head down every time my mom come through the doors, because I wasn't the best behaved, most well-behaved students as well. So I could see that in them. I could see students who the world has already given up on. And they make it their efforts every day that I'm going to come in here and do the best I can to be better than who I am. So I could see me in mainly all of my students. We have Caucasian students and African American students, but I also realize that it's not where you're from, it's how you work well together. And so kids will be whatever we set the expectation for them to be. And so when I look at my students, I look at them that says, if you have high expectations from me, I'm going to meet them. And so I couldn't give you one student who I think I'm most likely compared to, but I think all of my students, I can take that from them. Each of these students bring their own stories. Some are even stronger than I am. There are students who've lost their mothers or lost their fathers and still come to school the next day smiling, with a reason to smile. So for most of my students, I want to be like them because we think that we have it rough, but some of my students really come in with some baggage that until you really begin to dig beneath the surface, you really start to realize who they are. So I think, me being like my students is more than them being like me. I could see me in that aspect.
And I caught on to this, but obviously you said musical performance, and I could have sworn I saw your ad in front of the Gig Yard Center. Can you please talk to me about
two different worlds?
Yeah.
My kids come to a concert, it was like, wait a minute, is that my yeah, so, my passion and my love has always been music, but I've always tried to be Superman and Clark Kent. Saturdays and Sunday performing, and Mondays is back to work. This is my first, music is my first passion. Education is my first passion. But I do have an organization that I'm a part of, Low Country Voices.
Yes.
Which has been a very successful organization, a multicultural organization, and we're still doing some great things in the community and working with prominent figures in our community and the mayors in this community, and just really kind of bridging the gap. I believe it's all about knowing that we all need each other in this life to survive. So I am a musician at heart. Conducting has been another passion of mine, and so that's my second job. Yeah.
And I know I'm being a little bit redundant, but in 5 years, if you were to pick up the Postal Courier newspaper or any newspaper, what do you want the headline to be about Simmons-Pinckney Middle?
That we have finally become one school, one community. It's sad that when I look at this community that we have both sides of the fence wanting the best, but until we can all come together as the adults and reason together. But I hope, whether I'm here or not, that when I look at this campus, I can see African Americans, I can see Caucasians,
Sure.
I can see Hispanics,
Right.
I can see people from different faith and different backgrounds walking into this community, because our school was named after Mr. Philip Simmons and Mr. Quintin, who both were advocates for education, but they also spanned the aisles with racial barriers. And so if I would look at a paper and see the headlines, I would see that Simmons-Pinckney broke all racial barriers against all odds and became one school in one community. That would be my passion.
Okay. Well, Nate Nelson, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Yes, sir.